afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of All Hands on Deck. My name's Katherine and I'm joining you today from my back garden by my vegetable patch. Just taking a moment to get some vitamin D, get some sun, look at the nature around me, listen to the birds, because for those of us that have been working within this, if you like, movement, the freedom movement for a number of years now, it's been tiring. It's been a hard slog, and we're not near the finish line yet. We've still got some way to go. And what I wanted to do was just give a shout out to those and recognize those who have been working so incredibly hard to help make action happen in one form or another, but also recognize those that are just kind of coming into the scene and wondering, what can I do? What do I do? Because once you start going through that wake up process and you've gone through those stages of grief, as I call them, because they are like stages of grief, whereby you've got the anger and the frustration and then this overwhelming urge to tell the world and wake everyone up once you've accepted it, which is one of the hardest things. And then you're kind of lost. What do I do now? What do I do? And there are so many things that we can do. And there's so many things we have to do. It's almost like the old guard is now waiting for the new guard to come out of the wings and step in and take over and take some of the pressure off, because there's those of us who've been doing, sometimes 60 hours a week for months on end. And it's tiring. And there's never enough money. There's never enough resources. There's never enough people. And so now is the time for those of you that are kind of quite new to the awakening to come forward and say, hey, what can I do? And in response to that, I'd say masses, absolutely masses. It depends on what you enjoy doing. Obviously, there's the People's Health Alliance and the People's Food and Farming Alliance. You've got all of the information that UK citizens are throwing out to support how you can take action at local level in terms of the councils. You've got things like the Vote Freedom Project to support those who want to stand, whether locally or nationally, as an independent MP or councillor or whatever it may be. And there are other groups out there who are doing incredible work, who are constantly looking for people to help, with resources and money, and so forth. But it's also a time for reflection for me, because we're coming to what I would consider to be a pinnacle moment. We've got lies and lies and lies coming out, but they're so incredibly blatant that it leads me to believe that actually the good guys have more control than we realise. There's been some stories this week about the Met Police connecting with a guy who I knew his face straight away. I knew that he had been connected to paedophilia. We're gonna sort of just run over that word a little bit, and some others that are getting picked up by YouTube. But was connected with that. Peter Tatchell's his name is, repulsive individual. And the Met Police announced they're going to be working with him to support diversity and LGBTQ2 XYZ plus whatever it is. I'm sorry. And it's a really weird choice. Why on earth would the Met Police so publicly announce that they're working with someone who's recognised to support paedophilia and child abuse and other things that take place? Which makes me think there's two options here. Either they're really, really stupid, which I don't think is the case, or there's some good people in there that are trying to expose what reality looks like, and it's being done intentionally. And if you've noticed, those topics are being mounted up across the world, particularly in the US. There's huge amounts coming out now about this. There was a report last night, a police officer in Florida was releasing information on Disney and how many employees had been involved in such disgusting crimes. It's coming hard and fast now. So yeah, there's some really, really great stuff going on in terms of the exposure, and I'm very, very excited about that. But I also recognize that everyone's tired who's been at this a long time. Everyone's kind of dropping to their knees who's been at this a long time. Like I say, there's not enough resources, not enough funding. I know within PHA, if we even had 1/10 of what the NHS received, we could be doing an outstanding job across the countryside very, very quickly in terms of healthcare support and getting it out there. We've got some small projects we want to get off the ground, and it's just pocket change in comparison to what the NHS gets. But obviously trying to find that within the movement is really tough. But we keep at it, we keep going. You know, it's only when our knees actually hit the floor that we might have to consider something else, but I don't know that we'll get there. I have faith and belief and hope that the answers will come. But I do want this to be for those new guys that have come into the arena quite recently, and ask them to understand that we've been holding the line, we've been carrying the baton for some of us for many, many years, but certainly for the last few years, there's been thousands and thousands of us doing that. But actually, it's time for you guys to step in now. It's time for you guys for us to pass the baton and say, right, let's us have a little breather for 10 minutes. You guys keep going, and welcome you with open arms. Because in order for change to happen, you have to have the majority on side. Now, a minority can kick off that change. A minority can cause enough action and energy to make change. But in order for it to become substantial, we need to have the majority. We're moving closer to that every single day. But we do need you guys to have the confidence now to step forward and say, hey, I'm here now. What can I do to help? We've got some exciting news coming soon as well in terms of those that have been damaged by the older Jabberoonie. That information will be coming out soon. So in terms of what we've got to look forward to, there's that as well, which will have an impact for a lot of people. A very positive impact for a lot of people. In terms of what's happening in the UK with the UK COVID inquiry, well, if that wasn't blatantly rubbish, like I said on my last monologue, then I don't know what is. And the great thing is that a lot of normies are going to start picking up on that stuff. That's where they're going to start seeing the difference. And we are seeing it. Each day I see more and more people waking up, and it might not be people on your doorstep. It might not be people you see every day, but they are. And it's coming thicker and faster. And I would imagine over the next 12 months, it's going to be really hard for people to keep their eyes shut for too much longer. Try as they might, it'll be too hard for them. Still great stuff happening in the US. I would encourage everybody to watch the odd episode of War Room with Steve Bannon. If you're trying to get up to speed or understand what's going on over there and why people like me are excited, why we're so enthused by what we're seeing. Next year, I want to do something sort of similar whereby I start translating. See my vegetable garden? I was late in the season getting started, but we're getting there now. We need to translate what is happening in the US political system and translate for how that affects over here, what that means for us over here, because everything is interconnected and everything will have a ripple effect. And the US have got have more freedom-loving and open and honest politicians than we've got over here, from what I can see, who are making a difference at some level, a number of levels. And obviously, it looks to me like Biden will be out soon, whether they do the old 25th Amendment. He's clearly physically and mentally not at his healthiest. And also whether, they manage to impeach him, we'll see. There's still too many rhinos within the Conservative movement. Whether there'll be another angle that they'll get him on, I don't know. But I mean, Biden is done. That's being clearly made clear because of the narrative that's building up. But who's going to replace him? That's going to be interesting to watch that fall out. I think the whole transgender kind of movement thing has been exacerbated and sped up purely because of Mrs. Obama, shall we say, and that being brought into the fore. Wouldn't surprise me if she wasn't a candidate. Anyway, I digress. The point of this really was more, like I say, for those new guys out there. This is a shout out, a call to arms, a cry for help, that there are so many across the movement who are now falling to their knees. They're knackered. We've been working so hard for so long, without reprieve, without a break, willingly, giving everything we've got to this, and we will continue to do so. But there is now space and time and urgency for people to come in and pick up the baton and run with it, because it can't be sustained by what would effectively and relatively speaking be a handful of people. So I want to open up conversation for that. And if you are someone new to this and you are interested in getting involved with something, please do drop a comment below. and let us know. What we'll try and do is put in a few of the links to some of the groups in the UK, like PHA and PFFA and UK Citizens and so forth, who are doing some incredible work and working incredibly hard to get the solutions out there. What a lot of people in the movement are doing is they're looking at the here and now, and I get it. We want retribution, we want justice, we want to make sure that the wrongs are righted and so forth, and totally get that. But how many people are asking, what comes next? What comes next? When people wake up to the reality of what's been done to them, how much faith are they going to have in institutions like the NHS or the BBC or, you know, the supermarkets, any of those big organisations that they rely on day to day? What's that going to look like for them? And the answer is they're going to feel incredibly unstable, because everything that they've known, everything that they've relied on, everything that they've believed in is going to be proven to be a lie. It's going to be proven to be a fraud. It's going to be proven to be a cheat. We need to ensure that we are building those safety nets for what comes next, because we cannot function without some sort of health support. We cannot function without food being supplied. We cannot function without an education system of sorts. We can function without media, but in all honesty, in this current day and age, we need that alternative media to come to the fore. It's essential. So I would ask that everybody who is kind of waking up now and wants to do something, give us a call, get involved, contact your local groups, create your own local hub groups, support groups, because it's going to be quite prolific when people wake up as to the impact that's going to have on them. And we've got a responsibility, and moral and social responsibility, to ensure we're putting as many safety nets in place as possible. Now is the time to come forward. I would invite everybody to connect, and yeah, let's see if we can all find some more solutions together, because those that have been working hard, though, I just want to recognise you. You guys are warriors. You guys are heroes. You guys at grassroots are the ones that are making the difference. Forget the celebrity ones, the blue ticks, those big accounts, whatever else. Fine, they're doing what they're doing. Some of it's good, some of it I'm not overly excited about. The thing that excites me is watching the normal, regular people on the ground. They're the heroes. They're the ones that are making a difference. They're the ones that are putting all this in place. They're creating the safety nets. They're putting their mind, body, soul, spirit, back-breaking work into creating the new. But it's down to all of us. It's not down to just the few that are proactively doing it. It's down to all of us. And I'm not going to hold back when I say this. If you're one of those people that sits on Twitter and bitches about everything that's going on, yet you do nothing else, step up. Absolutely step up. It's time. It's now. So get on with it. Stop bitching on Twitter. By all means, carry on bitching on Twitter. But at the same time, take action. Do something. Help create the new. Help get out there. Fund it. If you haven't got the time and you know, anything available to you, fund it. Donate to someone legitimate, but grassroots groups who are actually making a difference. It fills me with joy when I hear about what's happening at grassroots level and the differences that are being made. And to some people, it's just like, oh, that's one person, or that's one person. You add that up, that adds up to a lot of people who are getting support now that weren't before. And it's being done by you, the heroes out there on the ground doing the work. So absolute hats off to you, bravo. And I want you guys recognised. One day you will be recognised, and you will deserve every single bit of recognition you get for the work that you're doing. Right now, we do what we need to do. We get on and we do what we need to do. So, yeah, lots and lots of good stuff happening, still moving in the right direction. I'm very enthused by what I'm seeing, and very buoyant still, very positive. And I do believe that a lot of this now has been rolled out just for the normies. This is being rolled out to wake people up. And that, when I say that, I'm talking about certain narratives like the one with the Met Police. These people aren't stupid enough to be making grave mistakes like that. This is being done intentionally, which is fantastic. So we know that all the good stuff's happening. We know that things are moving in the right direction. But my shout out to you guys, to the new guys, to the ones that have just got here. Come on, step up, get involved, come and take the baton for a bit, give the old timers a little rest for a while, and then they can get back into the ring. This fight is not over, it's far from over, but we need to start tag teaming some of this stuff so that people can get a rest. And we'll drop some links below. But thank you guys for joining me again. I am adding it, I'm actually getting more structured now. One of my colleagues is structuring me, so we're going to have a bit more consistency with this, and a bit more guide. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. get into the links in the comments, go and check them out and start getting involved, because to win this we've got to do it together.